today we're gonna make an AI secretary. What I mean by AI secretary, I mean that I used to have this wonderful, beautiful personal assistant on Telegram where I used to send him a message saying, hey, I got a meeting tomorrow at 10, and he added it to my calendar. It's very nice. And then I lost it for a while because I was doing like prod on it. But I want a temporary one back because I find myself needing to text someone saying, hey, I have something to do tomorrow. And there's no one there to tell me. So we gotta bring him back from the dead, and we gotta remake him again. So in terms of making AI secretary thought process, let's go through like the scope. So I use Google Calendar. So we're gonna use Google Calendar. Google has a lot of APIs. Meaning that we should be able to connect our Google account and our Google Calendar to an API. And if we could connect it to an API, if you don't know what an API is, you could ask ChatGPT so it could explain it. But because Google has an API, that means that our AI assistant could hit that API on our favor. So if I tell my personal AI assistant, hey, I got a meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m., then he's going to go and hit the Google API, and he's going to, okay, so actually, hold on, let me write this down so we could like go through the process. Like, what would this look like? AI functions. So you guys can hear me? Okay, perfect. So in terms of an AI secretary, right? The idea. So as a user, I'm gonna be like, I have a meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Right? There's a couple of requirements to saying I have a meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. So I talk about context being important a lot when it comes to an AI agent. What is the most important context if I say I have a meeting tomorrow? The AI has to know what the date today is. So important context is that what context does the AI need to make this request happen? And then I would say in terms of context, the current date. Yep. It's gonna need today's date. So we could be a little extra with this. So if I say I have a meeting in a week or in 2 weeks, it's more accurate. But for now, it would do a great job if it just has the context of the current date. The AI does a great job at filling in the blanks. The other context it needs is a function call to actually hit the API. Can Siri do this? It doesn't matter if Siri could do this. This is better. Anyways, what context does an AI need to make this request happen? The current date, a function call to actually hit the API. That's pretty much it. What's up, Seth? Doesn't have to get much more complicated than that since we're focused on some basic functionality. The biggest challenges in class today is going to be the Google API. So we're going to do our best to check through that. And if not, I'm going to show you guys how I problem solve with AI to check through that. So in terms of tech scope, I made my own AI agent framework called Feather. Let me know. Okay, but in 5 minutes, I'm gonna need to take a quick break to let a homie in, but after that, we'll be fine. I'm using my Feather agent framework. So I made this for myself when it comes to making a bunch of tools, AI agents, etc. This is really nice because my Feather framework makes it really easy to make AI agents. I could actually make AI agents in like one go with function calling with it. And I could just use my words to make agents now. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. I think it's pretty cool. There are two main things we're going to, so it's also a NPM package. If you guys don't know what an NPM package, you could ask ChatGPT. So Feather AI should be a package. Yeah, okay, so I have it as a package. So if you want to use this, all you have to do is type npm I Feather AI. It uses 2 envs, so I'm gonna go through these really quickly so you guys get the gist. Open router. So I'm gonna type this in chat actually. Give me. Oops. So open router. Why can't I paste it in chat? Open router.ai, and we're also using openpipe.ai. So OpenRouter is really nice because this is basically an aggregator for every LLM that exists. So if we go through all the models, we get Perplexity. Oh, that's pretty dope. We get Perplexity. We get access to DeepSeek. We get access to Google Gemini. We get access to ChatGPT. We get access to these random cloud models. We get access to Qwen, which is a great Chinese model. We get access to Amazon models, Mistral, Anthropic, Claude, everything, every AI model that exists. But what's going to be important is that we need a model that supports the tool parameter. The tool parameter is going to be the most important thing we work with, because the tool parameter is how we tell our AI agent, hey, this is how you hit the Google Calendar API. So if I tell you I have a meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m., you got to use this tool to hit the API. So that's the gist. And then OpenPipe is, and again, these are both built into Feather, but you need both keys. OpenPipe is optional. OpenPipe is really nice because what OpenPipe does for you is it collects training data if you connect it to like a system. And this is really, really great for debugging, because once I connect it to a Feather model and I make an API call, I could just see the exact API call. And this is very useful. So this is me like testing the new framework I'm using for the Twitter agent for Satoshi. So we get to see the core terminal functionality and the terminal commands, the current timestamp, current summaries, output format, tools, what the AI agent wanted to use, the chat history during this call, and then what any tool calls it does. So OpenPipe is just a really good platform for A, debugging, B, collecting training data. So when you do want to make a fine-tuned model, you got all the data saved. So it's really easy to just use it. So great service, highly recommend. And I built both of these natively into Feather agents. So going through the process, now we're gonna use Cursor and quickly spin up a Feather agent. So I'm gonna go to my terminal. I'm gonna go to my dev platform. I'm gonna make a folder called Calendar AI, and then cd Calendar AI cursor dot. So now we're in the Calendar AI folder, and I want to start. What would be easy? Would I do this in Python? Well, let's try Node.js for a calendar. Real quickly before I waste my time, can I connect to a Google Calendar API with Node.js? I'm gonna ask Claude this question. So it's giving me a step-by-step on how to do it. Oh, it's already making it for me. I didn't expect it to. Does this work first try? First, you'll need to set up a project in the Google Cloud Calendar and enable the Calendar API. Okay, hold on. Quick side chat. I'm gonna see if no errors. Okay. So I need to go to the Google Cloud Console and enable the Calendar API. So I have a burner account set up for this. So Google Cloud Console, and then I need to create a new project. I would just make me try to pay. Maybe I could do this on my account. New project. Create a new project. Calendar AI. GM, what's up? Out. Once again, if you guys have questions midway through, feel free to like ask me. If I'm talking too fast, this is a speed run, straight to the point, no BS class. I'm making my best to do that. So we're in the cancel, and then we got to enable the Google Calendar API. So enabled API. See, now hold on. This is for the class. I'm mad confused. I'm like, okay, I'm at the console. What the fuck do I do from here? I'm gonna take a picture. I'm gonna paste in my picture to Claude. I'm gonna be like, I'm stuck here. What do I do? And because AI has the magical, I just realized my camera is blocking the chat. So I pasted my picture. I took a screenshot of this, and then I pasted the picture in Cursor, and I said, I'm stuck here. What do I do? Now, because I told him where I was and where I'm stuck, he sees that. I see you're at the Google Cloud Console dashboard. Based on the image where you're stuck, let me guide you through the next steps. First, you need to enable the Google Calendar API. Give me 1 sec. This is the break I have to take to let my homie up. Give me 2 minutes.
Back to the steps we were at. I was stuck here, and Pod is giving me a step by step. First, I need to enable the Google Calendar API. Click on APIs and services. On the left sidebar, click the plus, search for Google Calendar API, click enable. Pretty simple instructions to follow. Enable APIs, search for Google Calendar API. How do I search calendar? It's not here. Calendar. I'm stuck again. Screenshot. Oh, Google Calendar. Google Calendar API. Google Calendar API. Enable. Cool. Will the VOD for this be up later? Yes. Do you have any how-to video on a Twitter agent? Search up Eliza OS Twitter agent on YouTube and you will find it. Like, search up Eliza Twitter agent. Um, actually, hold on. I'm gonna link. I'm gonna find the exact video. Set up Eliza Twitter agent. And I recommend. Which was the one I recommended? Honestly, any of these videos are probably gonna be good. Maybe this step by step is probably best. The one by Square of Die, uh, may be good. Check out YouTube. So we got the Google Calendar API, and then we have to create credentials. Go to API and services, credentials, API services, create credentials. And again, I'm using a burner Google account for this class specifically, so don't try to take my shit, please. Create credentials like OAuth client ID. So we're gonna Google Calendar ID. I will be accessing user data because I will be accessing my calendar data. This is my Google Calendar API, user support email, scienceboo, no logo, scienceboo7@gmail.com. So I guess going to the boring thing. App does not comply with Google requirements. Huh. No, it's like we're gonna be stuck on step one. Mm, I need to add an app logo. I mean, what if I add like this picture? No, he's cucking me. Hold on. Oh, app name. Secretary AI? Is it because I tried naming it Google? Oh, it was okay. Woo! Okay, Google didn't like that I was trying to name my app Google. So we're we're Gucci. Euro for Eliza Twitter agent. I believe in your ability to go on YouTube. So okay, add or remove scopes. Again, so I'm gonna screenshot this because I want more step-by-step instructions. Anything here I do, setting up credentials right now. So just giving it the context that I'm on the step he told me where I create credentials and that I'm at this picture. So looking at the image, I need to add scopes for the Google Calendar API. Click the add or remove scopes button and add these scopes. So I need to add the calendar.read only, calendar.read only. And then I also have to add calendar if I want to modify calendar events. So I guess just calendar straight up. Um, so I got these. Oh, I didn't add the calendar one. Hold on. Okay, now I have these. To confirm, I'm a screenshot, be like concisely. Concisely just means like straight to the point. Confirm if this is right. Claude says that I want to edit calendars. So it's saying that I don't need the extra one, but I'm telling him I want to edit calendar. So in this case, my current scope is correct. So that's cool. We can move on, save and continue. Now we have the OAuth client ID, and I don't know what to do in this step. So I'm gonna take a screenshot and be like, what do? And it says that I need to, after select web application, I need to give my application a name, add authorized redirect URL. In this case, I need to add this as my callback that it made for me. Um, okay, so web application, name, web client, authorized redirect URL, which it gave us, which is going to be this callback. It does not want me to copy it. So we'll go in our env, copy this, paste, add URL, create. And then now we have the client ID. So this is what we have to save here. So Google client ID. Claude was really nice and made us an A. This is going totally the opposite direction, by the way. I just wanted to ask Claude, but it made me files. So let's see if the files work straight up to get this working. And then now that I have the client ID, we need to get the client secret. I assume I could get that in here. Is this what the is this a client secret? Client ID auth provider. Okay, we have our client secret right here. So I'm a what the fuck? We have our client secret right here. So I'm gonna copy this, paste this into the env, and then let's say that was everything we got to do. So after selecting web application, you need to give your application a name, add authorized redirect URL to creator done. After creation, Google will give a pop-up, copy the client ID, client secret, paste it into the env. Our env file looks nicely made. After that, I have to type npm install to install all the packages it told us to install. And then I hit npm start. And when I hit npm start, the app will give me a URL to visit in my browser to authorize the application. Would you like me to guide you through what happens next? I would be, just try it. npm start. Oh, it gave me a URL. So is the app working as intended? If I paste this in, it's going to ask us to sign in with an account. Secret AI. So again, we come across another block where it says I haven't completed the Google verification process, but I should be a tester, right? So I'm gonna paste this in and be like, we got to this part. And again, context is very important when working with AI. So I'm gonna give it the context that the app worked. We got a URL to connect and verify. And then I'm going to say, I'm trying to connect with the account I made the client with. How do I enable developer mode? And now we should get another set of step-by-step instructions. So I see the issue. You need to configure. It's so satisfying when he goes, I see the issue. You need to configure the OAuth consent screen before your app can be accessed. Here's what to do. More step-by-step instructions. Perfect. We're great at following step-by-step instructions. Go back to the Google Cloud Console. Go to API Services, OAuth consent screen. So we're going back here. We're going back to API and Services. I'm going to go way back. I guess right here. OAuth consent screen. And from the OAuth consent screen, it's saying I need to add my email as a test user. How do I add myself as a test user? Oh, add test user. Save. Is that it? That might be it. So let's retry the sign in. If we go back and we run the app, and we open Science Boo. We're not verified. That's cool, but we could test it. Continue. Authentication successful. No upcoming events found. So off rip, we have successfully connected. You can see it up here. Off rip. But honest, okay. I didn't expect y'all, I didn't expect to get this far. I thought I was gonna have like a bigger headache. But off rip, literally all I asked, all I was trying to ask was, can I even connect to a Google Calendar API with Node.js? And then Claude went and just made me the entire code base, but it worked first try. And then Claude walked me through the step-by-step process on how to add it. I was confused on some steps, so I took a picture and I said what do, and it was able to guide me further step by step. So, okay, we actually got the hardest part of this entire equation out the fucking picture. So no upcoming events found. Um, Now let's go with like some modification. So I'm gonna say, all right, so everything worked. I'm gonna just take a picture. I like actually probably easier if I just copy the terminal. So right now it was able to log into the app. I have to tell Cloud to discuss with me first. They spit out code so fast. No, for real. So I have the app. It works. We have the refresh token. I would say next steps is, unless I want to, so I don't want to authenticate the app every single time I start it, right? So I'm going to tell Claude two things. I'm going to say, one, please update my app. So when I log in as a user, my token gets saved. I'm going to give context that I'm going to be the only person using this app. This is a personal assistant app. I want the code to save my token when I authenticate and use that until it expires. So I'm gonna send that, and it should then, I'm gonna stop the code, and I'll help you modify the code to save and reuse your tokens. We'll store them in a local file since this is a personal app. He's gonna do his little Claude thing, go through. And then it looks good. I don't see no errors, so I'm gonna npm start. There's no save tokens found. Need to authenticate. Let's go open this. He authenticates for me. Token saved successfully. So we can kind of see the thing. So, and again, I would test every step of the way. This is Cursor IDE. It's a code AI editor. I'm actually going to plug it in Cursor. It's just cursor.com. Uh, very, very, very sick. So it said token saved successfully. So if we run this code again, then tokens loaded successfully. No upcoming events found. Perfect. So now I'm going to test the calendar. So if I create an event for tomorrow um, at 10 a.m. and be like, calendar test successful, and I hit save, and then I type npm start again, we could see that we have our upcoming events that we just typed in that is successful. So we got past the hardest part. Holy shit. Okay, we got past the hardest part, which is, in our case, the Google Calendar. Google has a lot of APIs. We got past that part. We have, now that we actually have access to the AI, or now that we actually have access to the core part of it, which is actually connecting to the calendar, the next step is, how do we connect an AI system to this calendar? So we're going to do some modifications here. So really nice pro tip that's going to save our ass in the future is, I'm going to make a new file and call it devlogs.md. MD is markdown. We could just write whatever you want in here. Since I have my entire app from start to finish saved right now in the composer, I'm going to add the devlogs. So in Cursor, you could add files to reference them. So I'm going to add the devlogs, and then I'm going to type, okay, cool, got basic app working. I'm going to paste in the terminal just so it gets extra confirmation. Please write in devlogs detailed instructions on what my app does and on what my app currently does. So by doing this, when I go to a new AI and I start a new AI chat, I could reference the devlogs. And by looking at the code and looking at the devlogs, the AI has an idea of, okay, this is how the app works. Here's how we could work with the app. And pretty nice, pretty easy. Um, oh, it kind of bugged here when it came to like trying to give me more APIs. So maybe I could tell it, hey, okay, so sometimes Cursor does bug when it comes to writing devlogs. I'm gonna be like, hey, check out at devlogs or any MD in general. You missed a lot. I think it's because the code base is bugged. If so, I'm gonna tell it. Usually, the reason why it bugs is because it tries making these code blocks, which is usually due to these three tildes. So instead, if you're trying to make a code block, wrap it in XML code tags instead. So I'm going to tell the AI to wrap the markdown code it's trying to do in code tags, and then we can manually replace it ourselves. But this should allow it to like fully integrate everything into the devlog without bugging, which it was able to do. So very cool. And then if we wanted to actually make this like proper code devlogs, then we could just replace it with Command F and replace functionality with actual tildes like this, and then slash code. Oops, slash code. So now these are like proper devlogs. But it's really no big deal. Not that important. It also made us next steps. I don't care about next steps. It wrote current limitations, which is nice. It's limited to 10 events, uses UTC time zone, basic console output, only accesses primary calendar. But it does give us the most important functionality where we open the authentication URL, require a one-time Google account auth, saves the tokens, and then it automatically uses saved tokens, lists calendar events immediately, re-authenticates only if tokens expire. So we got a really strong base to work with here. Fantastic. So now, I don't need to use TypeScript for this, huh? I made this in TypeScript. I don't got to use TypeScript. So now we're going to install Feather AI to actually no, I don't use Copilot. I think it's useless if we have Cursor. But now we're going to use Feather AI, which is my framework I use, and I'm going to run through this, and I want to show you guys how we could like set this up. So in testing, I'm going to make a new one and call it agent.js. So this is just a new file. I'm going to npmi Feather AI. And one thing that I'm going to do from my GitHub is I have a .cursor rules file in here. So what a .cursor rules file when it comes to cursor coding is a .cursor rule file allows the AI agent you're working with to have deeper context on whatever you're working with. So in this case, I have a full documentation of how Feather works as a service. So if I copy in my cursor rules file and then I just add it to my code base, if I talk to an AI agent and go, hey, tell me about Feather. What is Feather? Then he should have the context of, based on the documentation provided, I'll explain what Feather is. And then it goes through my whole thing and explains what Feather is. So point being, you could add any bit of information to .cursor rules and the AI is automatically going to reference it. The reason why I start making very detailed documentation is no longer for humans. That's just a plus. I actually make very detailed documentation for AI agents I work with. So what's the benefit of doing this? So real quick, before we get into Feather, let me add in the URLs. So just from my own instructions on Feather, we need these two API keys in the env. So I'm going to add these in here. And then let's go make one real quick. So I'm going to make a new API key for OpenRouter by just going to the API key page. I'm at a $5 credit limit in case someone from the stream tries taking my key. So I'm going to put calendar secretary stream. So I'm going to copy this key. We're going to place it in here. Same thing with OpenPipe because I want to see the logs, right? I think that would be really cool. I'm going to make a project. I'm going to call this calendar stream. And then I'm going to create a new API key. And copy this, add it to the OpenPipe key. And then just to see if it even works in the first place, I'm going to ask, all right, let's grab a model. So we're going to go to OpenRouter. I'm gonna grab a model to work with. Let's just grab like I want to talk to DeepSeek distilled llama. So I'm gonna say, can you make me a very simple agent so when I run this file, it sends the word hi to the agent and we get the response back. And then use the model, and I'm gonna paste in the model that we just copied here. So what's really cool about OpenRouter is if you want to use any model that exists on the platform, you literally just go copy the model, paste it in, and then hit send. And no errors. First try. It might work. So if I run agent.js, and all I did was say, hey, make an agent. Because it has the documentation of cursor rules, I was able to just using my words make an agent. Does it work first try? It does not work first try. The file is being treated. What does this mean? This could be a personal bug, by the way, because I'm like still testing the framework. I wrote it in TypeScript, and it might not be TypeScript friendly. What does this mean? The error occurs because your project is set up to use ES modules. Oh, is that it? I hope that's it. Hold up. I'm being a bozo. I installed the package, so I need to import it manually because he's assuming it is a program that exists locally, but it's not a program that exists locally. It's a package, so it's actually Node modules. And we can verify that by looking for Feather AI in here and seeing the thing. Okay, so this should work. No OpenRouter API key provided in config or environment. I'm gonna say usually this happens because I don't have .env, which is a common package. But let's say I have no idea what this means. Um, how can we work with AI to get this context and put it in here? And I'm going to type in specifically saying I have my env variables loaded in .env, but, and again, context, I have my env variables loaded in .env, but it's saying this, please help. And the solution it should give me is to install .env and then load the .env and then run it through. So it added this additional params. That's actually wrong, so we could ignore that. I don't think it would make an error. We don't want it to change this. Um, but yeah, npm install .env. Now, if we run the agent, oh my God, it actually runs. So with Feather specifically, so I have these system parameters. You can go through the docs later. Maybe we'll do a Feather specific class. But I have a debug mode, and when you turn on the debug, you could actually see like the debug GUI, and it tells you exactly what happened. Now, other cool feature for OpenPipe and why I really like OpenPipe is if we go to the request logs, we could see what model that we are calling at what time, and we can see the input. We can see the system prompt. We can see what the user says. We can see what the AI outputs. So this is perfect. We're like basically almost done. So I might try to one-shot this because it looks like our AI system is really good at working with um, Feather by default, and we already have working Google Calendar code. And in my cursor documentation, I have it set up. So I have it set up to explain how tool usage works. And this is function calling when it comes to an AI. There's deeper information about function calling here that we use the gist of. But the general idea of function calling when it comes to working with AI agents is that we have something that we need to hit. In our case, the Google Calendar API. There is a very specific way to hit this API. So if I wanted to so in this case, list events, right? If I wanted to call list events, I have to call this function. And when I call the list events function, then it lists my AI events. How can we turn this function call into a tool so that the AI agent could naturally learn when to use it. So it's really interesting about function calling and giving AIs tools is when you just give them a tool and you have a description of what the tool does and how it's used and the parameters that it has to input to use the tool successfully. It just knows when to use a tool at the right time most of the time. And that's the most fascinating part about this to me is it just knows inherently, which is really interesting. So now what I'm gonna do is because we A have a working agent, B have a working Google Calendar connection, all we gotta do is mix them together. So how do we mix them together? We write out a prompt. So I'm gonna say I have so hold on. Before I even wipe this, I'm gonna say, can you add to the devlogs.md explaining we got a working agent. Probably not the most needed, but I think it's just nice to keep adding to our devlogs.md every time we go through. Um, just so it like has deeper structure. So this is cool. Devlogs look good, very nicely written out. So now I'm going to say this. Um, so oops. Okay. So please combine. We say please to my AI agents. You guys should too. Please combine my. I'm gonna say using my agent.js and my index.js file. Um, please combine both functionalities so that to accomplish this goal. And then I'm going to list out the goal I want. So I want to be able to actually talk to the agent. We could work with Telegram integration in the future, but because right now we're running out of time, I'm gonna just make the agent with the CLI. So the CLI is just the terminal here, and yeah, this terminal here. So I'm gonna say, um, create me a CLI experience where I can talk back and forth with the agents, and then two, um, I might go a step further and be like, I want the agent to have context of the current date and time. I want the date and time of the entire code base to be PST because I'm PST. And then I want the agents to have context of the current date and time. I want the date and time of the entire code base to be PST. And then I want the agent to have two tools, add calendar events, view calendar events. And because we wrote out devlogs, I'm going to add the devlogs. And important, it needs to know the agent.js file and it needs to know the index.js file. So I'm pinging both of those. Usually I'm more specific with my context, but because it already has a cursor rules that is pretty well instructed and it already has the devlogs.md that we worked with earlier, I think I think I could keep my instructions pretty light. And this might be a big task, right? So just in case that he can't pull that off, I'm gonna see if O1 could pull it off because O1 should be able to pull this off in one shot. So so this is repo prompt. McKay has a tutorial. It's in the Boo Discord. This is just a way for us to whatchamacallit, give the context of our code base to an AI agent. So this is called Calendar. Yeah, Calendar AI. I'm gonna copy my instructions here. I'm gonna paste this in. I'm just gonna take the entire folder, except yeah, I'm gonna just take the entire folder. Why not? It's pretty simple. Cursor rules gives it access to the feather docs. Please reference feather docs for the feather agent stuff. And honestly, yeah, this should be good because we already have the devlogs. It's already full context. I need to add the O1 Pro base, O1 format, and then it already has access to the feather cursor rules from there. So I'm gonna just copy this, give it to O1 as a backup, and then send this to Claude and see if it could make it first try just by words. And you can see how step by step we're going through the process. So the biggest thing I want you guys to take out of this process is kind of one, having the idea of how would I set this up, and that was this originally, the slide. But obviously, if you're starting off, you're not gonna know like that all of these things exist. So you could start by saying, "Hey, I want to make a calendar secretary. What are my options?" So actually, I want to test that while we're waiting for our AIs to craft our system. So assuming I don't know anything about how we could have started this entire process, I want to be like, I'll make a calendar. Okay, honestly, asking it to make a calendar AI is going to be a little confusing, but I want to make a calendar secretary. How can I do this? Like, if I keep it super, super vague, what answer do we get? He's making me an actual calendar app. Hmm. Okay. He's trying to make me an actual calendar app. I would say for now, students, you have access to resources to learn this. Um, there's just a lot that goes on that you'll have to pick up. Did this work first try? Oh my God, it might have worked first try. He even he even gave him instructions. He even wrote out a nice system prompt. He knew how to take, oh, he knew how to give dynamic variables and insert it into the system prompt by following the instructions in the documentation. Did I truly make a system where all we have to do is use our words? First, make sure you're authenticated. Then run the CLI interface. You can now interact with the calendar assistant. Example command, show me upcoming events, add a meeting tomorrow. What events do I have this week? Fuck, wait, hold on. Yeah, added new packages, right? Yeah, hold on. npm install, npm run CLI. Indent nicely is not defined. We have to import indent nicely from Feather AI because that is in our documentations. Also, remember to read the documentations when you're working with code bases because you don't want to miss the important stuff. I mean, indent nicely is not a function. It's literally right here. Is it spelled wrong? If not, it's no big deal. We could just not indent. It's no big deal. It's really not a big deal. Oh my god, it works. Wait, hold on. Let me turn off debug real quick. You even turn on cognition? Uh, Hi. Oh, okay. No endport support tool use. So because it actually properly made tools, the DeepSeek model doesn't actually support tool calling, which is the most important part of this. So we could just, that's no big deal. We could sort by tools, and then we could grab, in this case, I'm going to use GPT-4o just for reliability right now, and hit send and run this. And if I type hi, our calendar is able to respond back. If I say, what do I have tomorrow? Does he use the calendar tool and tell me back what I have tomorrow? You have an event tomorrow at 10 a.m. Calendar test successful. No fucking way. This worked first shot. I have a meeting tomorrow at 12 p.m. with my homie Bob at the cafe. Got it. How long will your meeting at Bob at the cafe last? Let me know and I'll add it to your calendar. 30 minutes. Thanks. I'm adding the meeting with Bob to your cafe at your calendar for 12 p.m. lasting 30 minutes. If I go to my calendar, did it work? Hmm. Yeah. Adding didn't work. So it wouldn't be, so I would say like the next prompt steps that I would do is say, is manually make sure that we could add calendar events here and then add it. But the fact that it was able to list our events straight up is really cool. That's like a prompt or two away from fixing the full thing. But I do have a hard cutoff right now. So I'm going to end that. I'm going to link the Feather GitHub before I did, and you guys can play with this. That was class. That was quick walkthrough. We can go more in depth next time, but made it farther than I thought we would.